The occult significance of 9/11 can be explained using Freemasonic symbolism. The Masonic calendar begins with a date called Anno Lucis, which is 4000 BC, corresponding with the start of the age of Taurus. The fictional birth date of Jesus was set at the start of the age of Pisces, explaining his association with the fish. That means the ages of Taurus and Aries lasted 2000 years apiece, and therefore the age of Pisces would have ended in 2000 AD, according to this calendar. 2001 was thus the first year of the age of Aquarius. This is one version of the Masonic Royal Arch. First, notice the two pillars or columns. Also, notice the symbols of the eagle, lion, ox, and man, on the shield in the middle of the arch. These represent the zodiac signs of Scorpio, Leo, Taurus, and Aquarius. The arch represents the union of the two pillars, which are symbols of the oppositions within man which must be unified in order to reach higher consciousness. The keystone is the point of this unification of oppositions. The opposites are the male and female, the active and passive, the material and spiritual, or the yin and yang, essentially. So why is Masonic symbolism about higher consciousness, enlightenment, or illumination? Because according to occult history, human consciousness rises as the ages advance towards the Golden Age. This is why they have the zodiac symbols in the middle of the archway. They represent the 4 seasons of cyclical history. Atlantis was the last Golden Age, after which mankind experienced a gradual fall in consciousness. The two-pillar duality is a symbol that takes multiple forms in Masonry, including the double-headed eagle, the checkerboard floor, the square and compass, the hexagram, etc. The hexagram is made of up and down triangles. The twin towers were replaced by one tower with sides shaped like up and down triangles. This new tower is meant to represent the hexagram. The twin towers were destroyed and replaced by a building which symbolizes their union, or the unification of oppositions. This is symbolic of rising consciousness, and this rise happens with the advancing ages. September 11, 2001 was the dawn of Aquarius for those acting according to this version of history. The reverse side of the Great Seal of the United States is likely the most famous image in the world of conspiracy. The phrase Novus Ordo Seclorum is Latin for New Order of the Ages, as in the ages of cyclical history. The powers that be believe a new world of higher consciousness humanity is coming. They want a new order for this new world. Novus Ordo Seclorum is taken from a passage in the 4th Eclogue of Virgil, who in 42 BC predicted the birth of a boy. This passage contains several important points of agreement with the idea that the birth of Jesus was a story about the rebirth of mankind in the cycle of precession. The most important line of the passage can be translated, "The great cycle of periods is born anew," meaning a new great year or cycle of precession began on the birthday of this mythical boy, who Virgil mentions 3 lines later. Next he says, "Now returns the maid," or Virgo in Latin. This has multiple meanings, but could be interpreted to mean the age of Virgo is returning according to the autumnal equinox. This would be the age of Pisces according to the vernal equinox. Virgil says the reign of Saturn returns, and later says the golden will arise over all the world. Saturn is the god of the Golden Age. Virgil is telling us mankind begins his return to the Golden Age at this point. The period of declining consciousness has come to an end. Similarly, Virgil writes, "The iron race shall begin to cease." This means the Iron Age, the period of mankind in its lowest state of consciousness, will begin to end, meaning the Iron Age has reached its midway point, the beginning of its end. This image displays what Virgil was talking about. Jesus' birth occurred at the middle point of the Iron Age, which was also the beginning of the age of Pisces, or Virgo according to the autumnal equinox. The descending consciousness period ended and rising humanity began. The cycle of the ages began anew. Other ancient authors such as Hesiod, Ovid, and Plato talked about these ages of man, a great year, and a periodic rule of Saturn. They wrote of a past golden age and mankind's subsequent decline. They associated these ages with the metals iron, bronze, silver, and gold. In Hinduism, these ages are called yugas. The Christ is not an individual man. The Christ is a higher consciousness being man becomes during the Golden Age. There is a second coming of Christ, because the Golden Age period of the Great Year will come again, just as summer returns each 365-day year. Currently, the Christ is crucified on the cross of the zodiac or of materiality, because mankind is living in the darker half of the cycle. Masons use symbols like the casket or the upside-down pentagram to represent the death of the more spiritual man. In the darker ages, man is more material or beast-like. The spiritual being is dead but will come again. It is not a Messiah we are to be expecting. It is a messianic age of higher consciousness. Here is an image of Christ inside a vesica surrounded by the four beasts, which represent the four key zodiac ages. The vesica is the intersection portion of the interlocking circles of the vesica piscis, which is another unification of opposition's symbol, like the pillars and arch or the hexagram. When this union takes place, the higher consciousness being emerges. This is why Christ is shown here in the vesica. The reason he is surrounded by the four beasts is because mankind must endure the 4 seasons of cyclical history in order to reach the Golden Age. The pentagram is a related symbol, with 4 of its points representing the 4 elements and the 5th representing ether or spirit, which is higher, spiritual consciousness. Mankind must overcome the 4 elements of materiality to reach pure spirituality. Mankind must endure the darker ages of the zodiac cycle in order to reach the Messianic age. The South Korean flag shows a similar symbolism with its yin-yang surrounded by the 4 elements. Again, the yin-yang is a union of opposition's symbol. This is an ancient tradition hidden in various ways within the teachings of many religions and kept alive by secret societies. Jesus Christ is still represented today by the Jesus fish, which is an allusion to the vesica union as well as the age of Pisces. There was more symbolism used on 9/11. A building shaped like a giant pentagon was attacked. The pentagon was designed by a Masonic architect under the active supervision of Franklin Roosevelt, a Masonic president. A 5-pointed star fits into a pentagon, and both shapes are used in Masonic symbolism. A branch of Freemasonry called the Eastern Star uses as its emblem a 5-pointed star within a pentagon. The Eastern Star is Sirius. The blazing star of Freemasonry is Sirius and is often shown as a 5-pointed star. The blazing star is one of the most important symbols in Freemasonry. Jacob's ladder or the rising staircase are often shown with the blazing star at the top. In the Royal Arch of Enoch, 32nd degree Freemason Robert W. Sullivan writes, "The 5 points of fellowship form a pentagram, symbolized within Masonry as the blazing star, which is the Egyptian dog star Sirius, the brightest star in the nighttime sky, appearing in the east as the Eastern Star. Being the brightest star makes Sirius the lone star. The sun aside, The blazing star is often called the most important symbol within Masonry. The blazing star, Sirius, is symbolized by a five-pointed star or pentagram within Masonry. Ground was broken for the start of construction on the Pentagon on September 11, 1941. Sirius is the dog star. A police dog named Sirius died in the Twin Towers on 9/11. The phone number for the police is 911. Dogs are canines, which can be abbreviated as K9. K is the 11th letter of the alphabet, and this is widely known in the secret society world within which gematria is used. Gematria is a system involving the ascribing of number to letters. K9 would be 11, 9. This dog's death is serious symbolism. The number 9/11 has multiple meanings. September 11th is also New Year's Day on the Coptic calendar, which is a continuation of the ancient Egyptian calendar, which, in turn, was based on the star Sirius. September 11th, 2001 was a New Year's Day, or rather, a New Age's Day. It was the symbolic first day of the age of Aquarius. The involvement of the Pentagon, the police dog, and the date 9/11 can all be related to the star Sirius, which is one of the most important symbols in Masonry and can often be seen in between the two pillars. The theory behind the two pillars and the unification of oppositions relies upon the existence of the Kundalini and the chakras. The Kundalini is a mystical energy believed to lie coiled at the base of the spine. When activated, it rises up the spine, energizing the chakras, ultimately bringing enlightenment. The theory presented in this video is that mankind is like a flower that blossoms during the summertime of the great year. During the Golden Age, the oppositions are balanced and the Kundalini rises naturally. Various occult groups and systems of yoga attempt to activate the currently dormant chakras. The planets are used in chakra and Kabbalistic tree of life symbolism. The movie 2001, A Space Odyssey uses some of this symbolism. The movie is essentially about alchemy, or the transformation of the lower consciousness man into the enlightened man. The often misunderstood psychedelic ending of the movie is about the main character's entrance into a gateway to higher consciousness and his rebirth into a state of enlightenment. This is the alchemical process, and the alchemical marriage is the union of oppositions we talked about earlier. When the oppositions are united, the Kundalini rises up the spine, activating the chakras and initiating illumination. In this sense, the symbolism of 2001, A Space Odyssey is very relatable to the unification of two towers into one that has taken place at the World Trade Center. 2001 was the year of 9/11, and this would, of course, have to be considered a coincidence except for the fact that there is a building next to the World Trade Center complex which was openly built to look like the Black Monolith, as a tribute to Kubrick's movie. The building is the Millennium Hilton Hotel. A millennium is 1,000 years. 9/11 was the end of a 1,000-year period, or more accurately, a 2,000-year zodiac age. People with this knowledge would have known well in advance that a new age was on its way. The Scottish Rite Journal of Freemasonry was first published in 1904 and was originally called the New Age. So, what is the significance of Sirius and the five-pointed star for Freemasons and other occultists? Some believe that our Sun and Sirius are in a binary system with each other, and that this explains the precession of the equinoxes and the 24,000-year cycle of the Great Year. When our binary partner is closest, humanity experiences ages of elevated consciousness due to the electromagnetic effects of a second sun. This would explain the possibility of higher consciousness, along with the chakras and Kundalini. The three kings, or magi, follow the star in the east to the birthplace of the Christ child. Three Kings is a nickname for Orion's belt, which, when a line is drawn through it, points to Sirius, the eastern star. They followed Sirius to the Christ, allegedly because our second sun produces the astronomical conditions necessary to turn man into the higher consciousness Christ figure that is Golden Age man. Humanity was reborn at the point of Jesus' birth, because our sun was farthest from its binary partner, but it then began to move back towards Sirius, ending the decline, and beginning the rise, of human consciousness. In two of his books, Freemason Albert Churchward wrote about our sun being in a binary system. In The Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man, he says, "From all the evidence we have brought forward there is, in our opinion, but one conclusion to be drawn. That our sun was thrown off from another sun, around which it revolves, taking 25,827 years to perform its cycle of 1 year, the one great year. That evidence remains, geologically, that at least 3 cycles have taken place. How many more we cannot say, probably many." In The Origin and Evolution of Religion he writes, "Our sun was thrown off from another sun, around which it revolves, taking 25,827 years to perform its cycle of 1 year. The one great year of the Egyptians. They have left records of 10 great cycles at least." Kenneth Grant was the personal secretary and student of Aleister Crowley, and after Crowley's death was seen by some as his heir apparent. Crowley named his occult order after the star Sirius. In The Magical Revival Grant writes, Crowley identified the heart of the thelemic current with one particular star. In occult tradition, this is the sun behind the sun, the hidden god, the vast star Sirius, or Sothis, which opened the zodiacal year of 365 days as well as the great year of approximately 26,000 years. In the footnote to this passage Grant says, "Our sun was thrown off from another sun, around which it revolves, taking 25,827 years to perform its cycle of 1 year, the great year of the Egyptians." In The Holy Science from 1894, Swami Sri Yukteswar wrote, "We learn from Oriental astronomy that moons revolve around their planets, and planets turning on their axes revolve with their moons round the sun. And the sun, with its planets and their moons, takes some star for its dual and revolves round it in about 24,000 years of our Earth, a celestial phenomenon which causes the backward movement of the equinoctial points around the zodiac. When the sun in its revolution round its dual comes to the place nearest to this grand center, the seat of Brahma, an event which takes place when the autumnal equinox comes to the first point of Aries, Dharma, the mental virtue, becomes so much developed that man can easily comprehend all, even the mysteries of spirit. After 12,000 years, when the sun goes to the place and its orbit which is farthest from Brahma, the grand center, an event which takes place when the autumnal equinox is on the first point of Libra, Dharma, the mental virtue, comes to such a reduced state that man cannot grasp anything beyond the gross material creation." At the end of the film 2010, the sequel to 2001 A Space Odyssey, the Earth has 2 suns. 32nd degree Freemason Robert Sullivan, in his book Cinema Symbolism, writes, "Even more curious is that Anderson's passport expires on September 11, 2001, which cannot be coincidence, nor can it be passed off as mere happenstance." To this author this Kabbalistic date allegorizes the start of the age of Aquarius and the eschatological conclusion of the old age of Pisces, thus announcing a new order of the ages, birthed by the pains of destruction, death, and turmoil, as, according to the Bible, all new ages begin. On MasonicWorld.com, there is an article called Freemasonry and the Message of Aquaria. The author writes, Freemasonry is closely linked with the message of Aquaria, and with the incoming of the new cycle. Students of the Masonic subject will come to know that there is a branch of arcane science which deals with times and seasons in human affairs, which reveals the operation of a periodic law governing them, and which enables us to survey past and present events and prognosticate future events in much the same way that astronomers follow the courses of the stars and predict eclipses. With the assistance of this law we are able to discern that human existence is punctuated by periods of flow and ebb, in which duality, or the spiritual and the material, is alternately manifested through the two areas of circular motion designated as centripetal and centrifugal, or the advance and recessional movements in the scheme of eternal progress. As evidence of this statement, take the 24-hour measurement as embracing the day and the night. The lunar month with its two periods, that of increase and decrease. The annual solar revolution, wherein summer and winter are the positive and negative poles of activity. And, greater still, the precession of the equinoxes, in which the sun's equatorial passage through one of the signs of the zodiac constitutes a sub-cycle of 2,160 years. Moreover, these cyclic periods will be found evidenced by well-marked events and charges of human development, and the subject of this paper is to consider the Masonic doctrine of initiation in the light of forthcoming changes due to incoming of a new cycle, that of Aquarius, under the sign of the man. Every thinking mind realizes, every sensitive conscience feels, that we are coming to the end of an age, that the old order of things is fast going downhill with ever-increasing momentum. It has now become apparent that we are moving towards a new order of things. The changes now taking place in the world order in consequence of the Passover into the sign of Aquarius, the water-bearer or waterman, are of greater portent than those of the former two, Pisces and Aries, because Aquarius is one of the four major or cardinal signs. These four cardinal signs, Leo, Taurus, Aquarius and Scorpio, correspond with the four arms of the cosmic cross, and are described in the volume of the Sacred Law, Ezekiel, chapter 1, in the likeness of four living creatures, the lion, the ox, the man, that is the waterman, and the eagle, facts which are of peculiar significance to Royal Arch Freemasons. And now, after every 2,000 years of the influence of this spiritual element upon the planet comes another transition. We are today passing out of Pisces and coming into the sphere of Aquarius, a sign that in the literature of the old mystics is associated with the legs, and it is in reference to the present incoming cycle that it is written in the volume of the Sacred Law, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge, spiritual consciousness, shall be increased. Meanwhile, amid the breakup of all external things, an interior constructive work is going on, preparing upon the mental and psychic planes the conditions that will characterize the Aquarian age and the evolutionary change in human consciousness upon the threshold of which we now stand. Since we are now standing on the threshold of the age, it is time that we considered the position of our craft and the part that Freemasonry has to play in the incoming cycle. During the next 2,000 years the human race must penetrate deeply into the mysteries of Aquarius, which are the mysteries of man. Hence, we Freemasons who have been solemnly exhorted to guide our reflections to that most interesting of all human studies, must now take up in earnest that which our lips have so glibly repeated, man, know thyself. In the beginning of Masonry, Frank Higgins writes, the ancient cosmic science, of which Freemasonry is a modern survival, gives the date of its inception, as that at which the above cardinal signs commenced their reign, namely 3995 BC, commonly reckoned as 4000 BC, which, added to the current year, gives us our Masonic date. End quote. Higgins highlights the four key signs we have seen in Masonic images. Of these zodiac ages, the one starting closest to the year 4000 BC would be Taurus. In the book Emergence of the Mystical from 1980, 33rd degree Freemason Henry Clausen included a chapter called New Age Beckons, in which he says, "Today we are at the threshold of a new era. All signs point to this fact. Despite the forebodings, we find ourselves at a rare and climactic turning point in our wobbly world's history. Those with a visionary, apocalyptic, prophetic or intuitive frame of mind seem to feel we are in a period of deep hours before dawn. There is a stir in the air, a change coming of large dimensions, such as arose among the Jews before the birth of Christ. We look toward a transformation into a new age using, however, the insights and wisdom of the ancient mystics." End quote. Clausen's comparison of the feeling in the air today and just before the birth of Christ is consistent with the idea that Jesus' birth brought in the age of Pisces, and that we have just entered into the age of Aquarius. In the spirit of Masonry, Freemason Foster Bailey writes, "Centuries passed away. The Jewish dispensation came to an end, and the Christian dispensation began with the passing of our sun into the sign of Pisces, the fishes. Then the fish symbology of the gospel story appears. The early Christians used the sign of Pisces constantly, even on their tombs, and we still eat fish on Good Friday, in memory of the great sacrifice of a triumphing Son of God. Today, according to the astronomers, we are passing rapidly into another sign, the sign Aquarius." The two pillars are, of course, symbolic of the dualities of manifestation, of the pairs of opposites, and of the two poles of spirit and matter, life and form. Again, they may stand for the dual forces of the universe, dynamic and static energy. It is possible that in the coming Masonic work, when the New Age dawns and another race emerges in the great and mystic chain of races, that a third pillar will stand erect. Thus beauty will be restored in the temple, and the work of the builders move forward to another stage of completion. Some viewers may question the timetable used here regarding the lengths and starting points of the zodiac ages and the length of the cycle of precession. Even within this video, we have seen multiple timetables in different quotes even from Masons, and if one reads more on their own, they will find that these dates and lengths vary consistently. The argument here is that the 2,000-year zodiac age and the 24,000-year great year are being used by those truly in the know, or by the powers that be. The time it takes to precess 1 degree is commonly said to take about 72 years. That would mean the time it takes to precess the full 360-degree circle of the zodiac would be 25,920 years. Wikipedia says 1 degree of precession lasts 71.6 years, making the great year 25,772 years long. However, some, like those who support the binary star theory, believe precession speeds up as we head toward the Golden Age period. One interesting point in support of the 24,000-year cycle is its relationship to the infamous number 666. Some believe that 666 years is the length of 1 decan, or 10 degrees of the 360-degree zodiac cycle. Each of the 12 zodiac ages make up 30 degrees of the full zodiac circle. 3 decans, therefore, would make up 1 zodiac age. 3 times 666.666 repeating equals 2,000. 2,000 divided by 3 equals 666.666 repeating. 666.666 repeating times the 36 decans of the zodiac circle equals 24,000. This could explain, in part, the use of 666 in the Book of Revelation. The 7 seals are the 7 chakras. In The Origin and Evolution of Religion by Freemason Dr. Albert Churchward, he writes, The drama appears as tremendous in the Book of Revelation, because the period ending is on the scale of one great year. It is not the ending of the world, but of a great year of the world. The great judgment of all, like the great deluge of all, was held at the end of the great year of all, in the cycle of precession. In The Secret Science of Masonic Initiation, Robert Lomas includes the following 3 quotes. He writes, "Our myth tells of the misery of a race that knows there is a golden age to be enjoyed, yet lives in darkness. Our spirit is exiled in a strange land, but a subliminal impression of light lingers in us." End quote. Lomas again, "This ruinous loss and its cyclical renewal is the raison d'etre of the secret mystery schools and their present-day agent, the craft. For all those systems, including Masonry, were instituted for the sole purpose of asserting the truth of the spirit's fall into material darkness and its restoration to light. All these myths presuppose that humanity can know a state of perfection and that it has become unhinged and uncentered from its true root of being. They also offer various means of restoration to perfection, including secret knowledge and perfecting rituals." End quote. Lomas writes, "The geometrical symbolist will think of the 5 kingdoms in terms of the point, the line, the square, the cube, and finally the pentagon or 5-pointed star. The psychologist, taking X as the cell and the simplest conscious mode, the mineral, will equate the plant with X squared, the animal with X cubed, man with X to the 4th power, and the initiate with X to the 5th power, each new kingdom involving an extra dimension of consciousness." We could continue with more evidence from the books of Masons and others, but for the sake of brevity, let's highlight a few key points. 1. The Masonic timetable fits with both the date of 9/11 and the idea that the hidden ideology of those in power is about the zodiac ages and the great year of precession. 2. Symbolism of the transformation into a being of higher consciousness is present in the form of the Twin Towers, the Millennium Hilton, and maybe the Pentagon as well. This transformation happens, allegedly, as mankind moves through the ages towards the Golden Age. 3. Serious symbolism was used in the form of the police dog, the date 9/11, and the shape of the Pentagon, and this could be because Sirius is the cause of precession and therefore, higher consciousness. All of this points towards the start of Aquarius as being a significant date in this system. They want a new world order for the new world that is coming. 9/11 provided justification for an aggressive policy in the United States and around the world, with the purpose of furthering the New World agenda. The symbolism of the belief system behind this agenda was included in the events of 9/11.